Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. So in this video, we're going to clarify what we talked about 2 videos ago regarding the hidden income strategy, which I'm super excited about. So excited, in fact, that I went ahead and initiated the transfer of my Schwab assets to Fidelity. So pretty soon, everything's going to be with Fidelity. By next year, I'm also going to have 2 more accounts that are going to go over to Fidelity as well. I have a life insurance policy that's going to mature that I don't want. And I also have a small pension from my old company that I'm going to roll over there. So within the next like 6 to 12 months, everything's going to be with Fidelity. But anyway, so the video I did generated a lot of interest and a lot of attention around the strategy. So let me explain it again, because right now, between Schwab and Fidelity, Schwab does not allow the same strategy. So basically, the gist of it, and I was just posting my trade wins for the week over here. So what's happening is that obviously in Schwab, I get dividend income, but the potential for income based on the assets that I have tied up in collateral for options trades, the potential, there we go. The potential is for way more once I get all these accounts over to Fidelity. Um, Based on what's in collateral right now, I want to say it's like 717,000 in collateral, which is actually more than what's available in cash, but that's where a little bit of margin comes into play, I guess. And then with Fidelity, or I'm sorry, with Schwab. So right now I'm sharing this, but this is the dividends I'm getting. So what I'm going to end up doing just on the 717,000 um, would basically match this. It would be 28,000 per year just on that. So the way that works, what Fidelity does that Schwab doesn't do, and I called Wednesday once I stumbled upon this. I called Wednesday, hey, welcome, first commenter, retire on dividends, awesome. So when I called Schwab, they're like, nope, we can do that. And the guy agreed with me. He's like, I would do the exact same thing. I would transfer my assets too. And then he tried to call me back and stop me. Said, hey, maybe there's something we can offer you, but basically it's something that I would be doing myself instead of them doing it for me. So I decided just to continue with the transfer to Fidelity. Anyway, I also think that fill prices with Fidelity are way better anyway. So here's a tremendous plug for Fidelity. Sponsor me, Fidelity. That'd be awesome. Maybe when I hit 10,000. Okay, so let's do this. Let's go over to Fidelity. And let me actually show what the heck I'm talking about. Because I was showing my dividends there. So you see I'm at about 33,000 and change for dividends. So on the cash balances that I have here, I'm actually probably over leveraged. But the thing is, once I win a lot of these trades, this account is going to grow even further. Let me do this first. Let me just go over like the whole thing. Let me go over the options portion. Let me explain like the whole end-to-end part. Well, end-to-end's not a part, but like let me explain the end-to-end process that the strategy entails. So first, what we're going to do is go over here. Let's see here. What do I want to show and what do I not want to show? Okay, this looks okay. I'll show this. I'm very transparent, by the way, if you all can't tell. I just want to make sure because I have a lot of random stuff here. So where I'm at right now, this is as of 9/4. It's actually as of today, so I'll put 9/19. I'm keeping this updated. So the options wheel strategy has made me way more than I make working. My goal this year, by the way, is $1 million in income. So of which YouTube ad revenue plays a very, very small piece of that puzzle, like significantly very small. But anyway, so the options wheel strategy has made me about 343,000 this year, which is absolutely phenomenal. Something that it just exceeded what I dreamed of like 4 years ago when I started doing this. But on the back end of that, I have about 550,000 in unrealized premium. That what's basically going to happen in the next 3 months. In fact, it's going to be 3 months to the day. We're on the final countdown now. So what's that? About 90 days. We've got, so the next 90 days are going to be big because a lot of this premium is going to become mine. It's not mine right now. The idea is that I'm earning income on the collateral that has to be tied up for this. So if it was just on the premium, basically what Fidelity allows you to do is it allows you to be in the like cash secured mutual fund, which I'll show you. I think it's called SPACs. It pays 4%. So just on this amount of money, this isn't the real amount, but just on this amount of money, if you do the math, 3.9% of this would be another 21,530. Okay, so there's that. There's my actual employment income, which is like not even a fraction of this right now. Dividend income and then other. So these are my goals right here. So let me go. What I want to show. I want to go over here. There's another tab I put together here. It's called Premium. Sorry about that. Okay, so what's really cool about this is that if you look at these totals on the bottom, basically the money that is held in collateral, because you have to have the collateral to be able to make these buys on these. So this 744,000 here, hypothetically, 3.9% of this, basically this times 0.039, that's another, yeah, sure, why not? That's another $29,016. But what I'm going to go over here in the, oops, what I want to go over in the, my tab over here, that's random stuff. That's actually one of my fantasy football lineups there. Let's see. What do you think of Open for options? Tell me about Open. I don't know about it. Can they sponsor me? If they'll sponsor me, they're great. They're tremendous. I like them. But if they won't sponsor me, they're a bunch of bums. I'm just kidding. That's like what Trump would say. If they like him, yeah, they're tremendous. They're 100% amazing. But if they say something bad, they're a bunch of bums. But I'm just kidding. Oh, Carvana of Homes. Ooh. Interesting idea here. See, this is what I like about having community here, because this is some food for thought here. Interesting. You know, I missed out. I was just talking with a friend about Carvana. Carvana, I missed out on like the upside because in like 2022 it bottomed out and I just never looked at it again. But yeah, Carvana's been tremendous. Let's look at this real quick here. I won't get too sidetracked, but let's see. Open. Yeah, open door, right? Isn't that 200% implied volatility? That's juicy. Wow, it was a penny stock basically. Yeah, Open Door. I do know about Open Door. I just haven't looked at it in a while. That one, I'll have to make a note. In fact, I'm going to make a note right now that Rod said to check that out. So I'm going to make a note to myself here because I'm kind of disorganized. I'm going to say check out options on Open. Where can I put it here? All right, let's see. Open options, 200% IV. There we go. And for those that don't know, IV is like what they give you at the hospital, what they inject into your arm. Just kidding. But you could look at it like IVs, like, you know, you're injecting IV into your gains. Implied volatility is what it means. Anyway, for some reason, I'm losing my audience here. So let me try to get back on topic. So the point of the story, the moral of the story is, if you look at what I have over here in Schwab, hopefully, you know, I don't really rehearse these things. So hopefully I'm explaining this fairly well. So basically, there's about 457,000 in Schwab, but there's more actually devoted to option strategies right now. So I think it's about 566,886. So track with me here, because 566,886, and it allows me to do a little bit of margin if I have to, which you don't pay interest. That's another benefit too. You save money. Remember, a foregone, what am I trying to say? A foregone cost is the same thing as income, the way I look at it. An expense that you avoid, a cost avoidance, has the same impact on your bottom line as income. So if you're not paying margin, which is really high on Schwab, if you're not paying margin on your money you have invested, that's like another income stream as well. You could count it however you want. But anyway, so if I take the 566 and I add it to the 717,000, I come up with about 1.283 million, which is just mind-boggling that I have this much in like trades, like earmarked or allocated for trades. A couple years ago, this would have scared the shit out of me. But you got to be fearless and bold. So basically, that's how I come up with the $50,000 number. So 50,000 divided by 12 is actually more, or it's going to tie my dividend projection for the year. So it's not replacing it because I'm keeping the dividends too, but it's actually going to double it as well. So it's more like 4,172.63 per month in free income that I didn't even really know that I had. So where this shows up, if I go to Fidelity, This shows up over here, actually. If I go to activity and orders, this is my last trade. So I closed out of Connell, made a gain there. But what I have to do is filter for dividends and interest. And so what you'll notice is that FDRXX, Fidelity Government Cash Reserves, which is paying 0.39%, which these two accounts here that are going to be my Schwab assets moved over. These two accounts basically, well, I'm getting them in all three, but the two blank accounts that you see here are basically going to be my moved over Schwab assets. So if I do the math on this, this is really easy to back solve. So it's 52.85. Yeah, I did it again. Oops, I did it again. This technology really pisses me off. I don't know why you can't scroll over to screens without getting a freaking black screen. Anyway, 52.85 times 12 divided by 0.39 is based on, let me look at the health savings account real quick here. It's based on 16,000. You know what? Why don't we just go over the trades I have open here? SMCX, the one some of you like to grill me on. I'm actually only down $212 because it's been coming back. TQQQ. So I opened up a call option on TNA to call me away, which is funny because I feel like I tricked the market into, as if I had such power. I tricked the market into going up for TNA. Once I sold a call option on my TNA positions, boom, the market decided to run up. But what's really cool is that I have 128 shares approximately, but I could only do a call option on the 100 shares. So I'm going to keep 28 shares basically. But anyway, so what I was looking at here, so it's paying me based on the collateral that I have. It's not the actual account balance. Remember this. This is part of what I wanted to clarify. It's not the actual account balance that it's paying you on. But it's the collateral. So if you back solve for the $52 a month, multiply that by a year, it's $634. And then you divide that by the 0.39%, which is the rate that it's paying you, you come up with 16,261. So what we're going to do, folks, to have some fun with math here, we're going to back solve. So we've pretty much already done that. What I'm going to show you, if I add the premium that I have open here, the cost basis, which is funny that I've gained on MSTU already, but I did get assigned in another account. So 2508 plus 11,217.98. And then what else? 372.33 plus whatever cash is sitting in the account. I think there's some cash just sitting in the account. Or actually, hold on, because it's not earning on the actual investments I have. So if I add up 4,343.75 plus 4612.30, that's really all I have invested in the account right now. So if I take that and then I add back the 23,494.18, that's basically what it's paying me in interest. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think I closed something out, and that's why it's a little less. So, but you can basically figure that out for every account. I think that's what happens. So if I go over to my rollover IRA, which is my former 401k, basically it's now 712 in cash. So let's see, 712,125.11. It's actually more because I wasn't counting the Roth IRA. So the Roth IRA, I've got 59,160.89. And then if I go to the health savings account, the cash right now is 26,960.32. So it's like 798,000 plus what I have on Schwab. So if I go back to Schwab, I think I'm not overcounting anything, but who knows? So if I go back to Schwab, then it's going to be, so for those of you tracking with me at home, 798,000 on the calculator here, plus 566, 886, 43. This money, this is actually 1.365 million. If this is all invested in those government treasuries, this could be 53,240.17 in extra income divided by 12. Now, the thing is, this is going to fluctuate throughout the year because this is not all always going to be tied up in collateral. Some of it's going to get assigned, some of it I'm going to buy back. And when that happens, the amount's going to fluctuate. But best case scenario, this money could earn me another 53,240. And what happens with this, what's really cool, this is one view I like about Schwab here. When you see doing an aggressive strategy like this is going to grow your account faster. So if I go to portfolio performance, basically I've made as much money in the account as what it was worth when I started with Schwab. So when the assets came over from TD Ameritrade back in 2023, so it's gained about $193,040. We started with $141,000, and then because of net contributions, and then investment gains and losses plus income, my dividend income over this time is actually beating my investment gains and losses. So that's a carrot for the high yield dividend community there. My dividend income over this time period is six figures. It's 102,807.48. And then my investment gain and loss is a net positive of 90,241. And for those that think it's worth it to have a financial advisor or to not, this result came at the high cost of $8.62, which I can tell you, folks, is a lot cheaper than having a financial advisor. You could always just have a coach and pay for a one-on-one session, which I offer, by the way. But you see, it's much cheaper to do these things yourself. So ending value, and this is as of yesterday, 460,000. So it's basically grown by like 300,000. So, and you can see my rate of return, it's like annualized 40% and over, 2 years, basically. So there's that, but there's a missing income piece. The point I'm making, though, is that when I started this, when there was only 141,607 in the account, if I had this all on this strategy, it would only be $5,000. So it's not sexy income, but it gets sexier now when you're at like 460, 109, and then you could use margin and collateral. Now you're at 18,000. Then when you combine all your accounts, then you're getting closer to like 15,000. So anyway, we've got dividend degenerates on. Welcome. So hopefully that clarified the strategy a little bit further. If you all have enjoyed that, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and ask me any questions. I hope reviewing this another time. Is my coaching compatible? That's a good question, because there's two schools of thought. There's some people that think only idiots would pay for coaching, and there's you and others that think like you, Bon. There's others that think like you that say, oh, maybe, people that are too dumb aren't going to benefit from my coaching. But I'd like to think everybody can benefit. Because really, as divisive as the world is, it all boils down to there's two types of people in the world. There's current coach fans and future coach fans. So, you're either a current fan or you're yet to be. So you can't wrap your head around options. Well, here's something that'll help. Get a headband, write the word options on it, and then wrap it around your head. So instead of you not being able to wrap your head around it, it will wrap itself around your head. And it's like learning through osmosis, right? Then you'll have it's like when you sleep on the textbook in school. I've heard that works too. I didn't personally try this at home, but like when you sleep on the textbook, it's supposed to help your mind absorb material. Anything helps. Honestly, you know what I've done? I'll listen to manifestation tapes. I'll listen to YouTube videos when I go to sleep that talk about manifesting millions. And something must be working, because the accounts are growing. So America Return 4547. Oh, I like that screen name. He says, I'm on YouTube for free help. Interesting. Well, it's free, but everything comes at a cost, whether it's opportunity cost, whether it's your time, everything comes at an opportunity cost. To me, the most risky thing to do is to think that you're risk-free, because a lot of these risk-free assets come at a high cost. You're missing out on a lot of the upside of the market. So that's something you don't want to do. But anyway, in all seriousness, to wrap your head around options, it's just about repetition. You have to do it over and over again. A lot of times people on here, they're going to befuddle you with big words. They're going to use the Greeks, the datas, the theltas, the gammas, all of those words, the omnicrons, they're going to befuddle you with all these big words, but it's really, guess what? In all my trades I've made and my best trades, I don't even remember what the delta was. I could not name you one Greek on any of the trades that I've made that have been so successful, because I don't care. I'll look, in terms of to make sure I'm in the right range, but it's just like cooking. The way I look at it, I don't, if I'm going to make anything, I don't care about like, oh, this is the exact measurement I need. This is the exact measurement. I make a judgment call. So like I'll throw in this much salt, this much sugar, I just make a judgment call. And most of the time what I prepare comes out really good. And when people are eating it, they're not saying like, I bet he didn't use a half a tablespoon of sugar or salt. I bet he used 3/4 instead of a half. And I can totally taste the difference. It's the same thing with options trading. And I see this with a lot of people, and I'm not making fun of anybody, but this is what, we're taught, we're conditioned as a society to focus on the academic concepts. So people will say, okay, that's nice that you made 25,000 on this options trade, but what was your delta? What was your theta? Honestly, I forgot. I don't really care. I'll look at it because I know, delta is how much better it's going to do compared to the overall market. So, I know it's going to move. It's got a high delta. It's going to move much further than the overall market. So I look in terms of guidelines or as a barometer to see where I am. But in all honesty, don't let those big words befuddle you, because that's what a lot of the insiders and the experts like to do, because they like you to believe that you need them. But at the same time, I've seen people in my own audience that have blue collar jobs, that don't even have a formal education, that have absolutely mastered this trading strategy. So don't let them think that you have to have a formal education, that you have to know all these big words and all that. That's what they want you to think, to keep you dependent on them. So with that being said, thank you all so much. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Smash that like button, 2 thumbs way, way up. And we will see you all in the next one. Take care. Have a great evening. Bye.